Hey everyone, welcome back to Guitars, Whiskey, and Golf in my bourbon tasting room. Today we're back at it and doing a review of Bardstown Fusion Series number 8. So if you're not familiar with Bardstown's Fusion Series, um, they do an annual release of this. This is the 8th in the series. From what I understand, the ninth release is going to be their last, which is kind of sad for me because I think the Fusion Series is a great whiskey. We'll get into talking a little bit about it here. So I'm kind of sad to see it go. But Bardstown is kind of going through, I would say, a bit of a transition. They historically have been blenders, primarily blenders of whiskey. In other words, they'll source whiskey from a variety of different places, and then they will blend it all together themselves and bottle it. So they really historically have been master blenders, which is a skill set in and of itself. Sometimes people, I think, have a tendency to look down on a distillery or a whiskey company if they don't distill their own whiskey. And I can see that. I think every whiskey company out there should be distilling at least some of their own distillate. But be that as it may, Bardstown cut their teeth blending whiskeys. You may be familiar with the Discovery series, and then again, like I said, this Fusion series. So again, we've got this Fusion Series number 8 here. And this is a really interesting blend. There's actually 3 different whiskeys in this bottle. We've got 58% of Bardstown's own distillate, which is it's a high rye mash bill. It's 75% corn, and it's got 21% rye. Excuse me. And then the second distillate in this bottle is also Bardstown, 70% corn, 18% rye, but then they pump up the malted barley to 12%. So you've got 58% of a Bardstown 4-year-old, which is more of a high rye blend. Then you've got another 12%, which is a Bardstown, which is bumped up higher in the malted barley. Both of those from Bardstown are 4-year-old aged whiskeys. And then 30% of the whiskey in this bottle is sourced from Kentucky. They don't say from where. And the mash bill on that 30% is 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley. And that is 12-year-old whiskey. So I don't know who they're sourcing that from. It's Kentucky, so it's not Dickel. Dickel does provide a lot of sourced whiskey, but they're from Tennessee. So my guess is it's Barton that does 1792, if I'm guessing, but I don't know for sure. So you've got 3 different whiskeys in this Fusion Series number 8 here. And like I said, 30% of the whiskey in this bottle is 12 years old, which is, getting up there. So the proof on this bottle is 95.5% proof, and it retails at about $62. So this is not an inexpensive whiskey. It's not as expensive as the Discovery series, which has really kind of gotten crazy in the last year. The Discovery series, it's starting to hit $140 in my area, which is, really beginning to get out there. But like I said, Bardstown is going through a big transition right now where they're moving away from sourced whiskey and moving more towards their own product, their own distillate. So if you may have heard that Bardstown is issuing a series of whiskeys called the Origin Series, and those are going to be 100% Bardstown distillate. So they've got a bottled in bond, which is, I think, a high rye mash bill, and they're coming out with a rye and also a bourbon. So it'll be interesting to see what Bardstown does in the future. The nice thing about the Origin series that's coming out is that the price range is $45 to $55, And that's a nice change of pace because, like I said, Bardstown, some of their whiskeys are very expensive. Like I said, getting up into the 140 range. Then they've got some specialty releases like Chateau de la Bade. And I'm, you can't really find that anymore because it was a special release, but you might be able to go on some websites and find a bottle for like $200, something like that. So that's some information for you on Bardstown. I think they are a great company. I'd like to see them get realistic with their pricing. And part of that, the Origin series, like I said, coming out with bottles at 45 to 55. Part of that, I think, is the trend towards, trying to produce whiskeys at more approachable prices. So I really applaud Bardstown for doing that. So let's get into this Fusion Series whiskey, which is what we're here to talk about. Like I said, it's 3 different whiskeys, 2 of which come from Bardstown and 1 is sourced, and that's the 12-year-old. So let's get into the nose here. I've got myself a little bit of a pour that I've been letting sit in the glass and open up a little bit. Caramel, cinnamon, definitely oak, but the overwhelming nose on this Fusion Series, the 8, is ripe fruit. So if you can almost imagine a basket of apples and pears, basically fall fruit, that is very ripe. That's what I'm kind of getting here. A basket of really, really ripe fall fruit flavors like apple and pear, mixed in with some really, really nice oak, cinnamon, maybe black pepper, touch of caramel. Let's go in for a taste. Yeah, it's super sweet up front. The front of the palate is very sweet. The mid palate though is like an explosion of spice, baking spices, cinnamon, pepper. You get that all that ripe fruit, apple, pear, but not like sweet apple and sweet pear. Almost like almost approaching overly ripe fruit. I don't want to say sour because it's not there's not a sour fruit happening, but just very, very, very ripe fruits. The finish is very long. It lingers for a really long period of time on your palate. It's really nice. So you just have this lingering oak, lingering spice, lingering ripe fruit, all sitting in a really, really nice oak flavor. Sometimes oak can get out of hand. It can get over the top. It can get bitter. That's why a lot of people say the sweet spot for bourbon is about 12 years. Sometimes you get into these bourbons that are in the barrel for 15 years or 18 years, and I don't know. Sometimes that oakiness can get really out of hand and very bitter, but not the case here. Here the oak is very sweet. Really, really great whiskey. I love this bourbon, this Bardstown Fusion Series. I'm really excited for the last one, the 9. I have a feeling they'll try to do something special, which hopefully they do. But for now, the Bardstown Fusion Series number 8, $62 retail. Beginning to get into that more pricey range, but still approachable. For a special occasion or something like that for you. But this is a very well made, very well blended whiskey with a lot of complex fruit notes, cinnamon, spice, oak, little peppery. Definitely a whiskey that I recommend you give it a try. Um, I don't think that you will find that this is overly priced for what it is. I think for the juice that's in this bottle, I think it's priced fairly. So in terms of value, I would rate it um, good in value. In terms of flavor and aroma, I would rate it very good. So go out and get yourself a bottle of the Bardstown Fusion #8. Like I said, the series is coming to an end. I think they're going to do a 9, and then they're transitioning to all their own distillates. So a lot of these bottles where they fuse different distillates together to create their whiskey, that's coming to an end. So for now, that's it for Guitars, Whiskey, and Golf. My name is Brian. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and take care. We'll see you later. Bye.